Come on in, sit back, relax, and listen to episode 153 of the Wealth Tech Today podcast. I'm your host, Craig Iskowitz, founder of Ezra Group Consulting. And this podcast features interviews, news, and analysis on the trends and best practices all around wealth management technology. And our topic for this month is turnkey asset management platforms, better known as TAMPs. Now, we chose this topic because the TAMP market is one of Ezra Group's core areas of expertise. We conduct research on the TAMP market, as well as provide technology and strategy consulting to TAMPs, as well as the wealth management firms that outsource to TAMPs. We're a full-service provider to the entire ecosystem. So if you are a CXO for a TAMP, broker-dealer, enterprise RIA, or fintech provider, and need some advice and guidance on wealth management technology, you should run, not walk, to our website, EzraGroupLLC.com, and fill out the Contact Us form on the homepage. Our experienced team can help with RFPs, software implementations, evaluations of your current platform, and more. You can take advantage of our free consultations by going to EzraGroupLLC.com. Now, today's guest is Natalie Wolfsen, who took over the reins at AssetMark from Charles Goldman last year when they had around $75 billion in AUM. Now, since Natalie has been in charge, they've grown their assets to over $100 billion and made a number of acquisitions, including TAMP Adhesion Wealth that they purchased from Vestmark, which we covered in our interview. Now, a couple of quick housekeeping notes before we continue. Please subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss an episode. Make sure to check out our sponsor, the Invest in Others Charitable Foundation. You can find them at investinothers.org. And now, let's kick this thing off.
I'm pleased to introduce our guest for this episode. It is Natalie Wolfsen, CEO of AssetMark. Natalie, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
I'm so happy you can make it. We had to do some scheduling gymnastics to get you here. I know you're a busy person, got a lot going on. So again, thank you for being here. Where are you calling in from?
I am calling in from Northern California. AssetMark's headquartered in Concord, California, and I live about 20 minutes away.
Excellent. It's a beautiful area. I love that. Love that area. I live in New Jersey, but whenever I get a chance, I'd like to go to that part of California.
What part of New Jersey? I used to live there.
I'm in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, near Philadelphia.
All right. I used to live in Montclair.
Oh, it's up north, but yeah, it's also a nice area.
It is.
It's all good.
I love New Jersey.
Come back anytime. You're welcome. I'm the ambassador to New Jersey.
Yeah.
All right, so let us jump right in. Can you please give us a 30-second elevator pitch, Natalie, on AssetMark?
So AssetMark is a outsourced provider for investment advisors, independent fee-based investment advisors. We provide technology, business consulting, asset management, curated asset management, and other resources to help advisors of all sizes compete. In a nutshell, if an advisor has a need or spends their time on activities that are to the benefit of investors, AssetMark invests in those activities so that advisors can redeploy that time to serve investors. As a result, we have a technology platform that's built for purpose for investment advisors to save them time and create great conversations with their clients. We have a set of investments that have been heavily diligenced and curated so advisors can rely on that diligence and spend that time with their clients. And we have a broad array of service and support and consulting so that advisors know that they can have confidence in what we provide to them and spend their time with their clients.
And technology has always been a big part of AssetMark's service and AssetMark's value proposition. And you actually led the tech development team before you became CEO. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, before I became CEO, I was in charge of all product development, including technology and also investments product development and consulting product development, as well as an array of other things, including strategy. So I love technology and really almost from the beginning of my career have worked in technology product development, starting with sales effectiveness, moving towards trading and wireless trading at Schwab, then building investment platforms at Pershing, and then finally with AssetMark, making sure that our eWealth Manager platform met the needs of advisors. And during my time leading product development, obviously in partnership with our CIO, Mook Mehta, We added portfolio analytics services to our site. We streamlined a lot of our processes. We integrated investment analytics with purchase as well as research. And now we have a technology platform that really forms the basis of how advisors who use AssetMark interact with their clients.
Yeah, it's really an interesting transition how you guys have built out the platform over time, the eWealth Manager platform, and watching it take shape over the years. So in your tech stack, you're very purposeful about how you build it. So can you talk a little bit more about the specific components, when you launched the portfolio construction, the portfolio engine tool? What made you feel that was an important thing that you needed to own rather than outsourcing it to another company?
It's interesting. We determine what it is we need to focus on our own based on two categories. The first category is we feel like we can help save advisors time and help them scale. And then the second is we can create a great conversation between the advisor and the investor so that the investor knows that their portfolios, that their financial plan meet their needs over the long term. So that in markets like the one we're in now, where things are a little choppy and uncertain, the investor isn't as frightened about the environment and understands exactly why the portfolio is in place. And so over time, what we've done is we've taken a look at advisors' use of technology, which is quite high, versus their faith and their belief that the technology is adding value or saving them time, which is actually really low. 50 full points below. 90% feel like 90% use or leverage technology, and only 40% feel like the technology has any benefit to them. So what we try to do is we try to erase that 50 points. And the way we do it is we engage with advisors who use AssetMark and don't. And we ask them, what technology, could we use could we deliver that would support great conversations with your clients and save you time? And over time, as we build out the AssetMark platform, you move from one project to the other. But a couple of things are really clear. When we launched Portfolio Engine, the reason we chose to own it rather than buy it is it was clear to us that most portfolio analytics tools only gave a surface understanding and at the holdings level. We needed to have, our advisors needed the ability to build portfolios and to build portfolios of strategies and models. And they needed to be able to do that in a way that was highly interactive with the client, where the advisor could show the implications of choices that clients were making in terms of taking on more risk or taking on less risk over the long term. And there just wasn't a tool in the marketplace at the time that we felt did this for portfolios like ours. And one of the toughest conversations an advisor needs to have with their client when building portfolios is, if you take less risk, because humans tend to be risk averse, we feel the impact of loss twice as much as we do of gain. You have to be able to show them that by being so risk averse, they're impairing their ability to succeed over the long term, or they can succeed over the long term. And so that's what Portfolio Engine does. It shows max drawdown. It shows overall implications for the performance of the portfolio over time. It shows how long the drawdown persists, so that investors and advisors can have real conversations about choices they need to make to achieve their goals. Now, we also wanted to make sure that investors could interact with that type of analysis. And so we had to build an investor portal, which showed portfolios and showed drawdowns and showed other things over time to make sure that investors could check in and advisors had a digital venue to have conversations with their clients. In addition to that, we needed to make sure that advisors had the ability to select investments. And so we needed to build out our investment selection. Again, each of these areas of our site represented areas of a lot of time and effort for the advisors, and areas where we could add to their conversation with their investor.
And AssetMark, of course, you are both a supermarket of providers of managers and models, as well as your own models that you provide. So you offer both through your portfolio construction tool.
Yeah. So at AssetMark, you're half right. At AssetMark, we absolutely have a blend of third party and proprietary. We believe in competition. And so we want to make sure that, our advisors always have choice. They, and we don't advantage our proprietary investment solutions in any way to the third-party investment solutions. That's really a decision between the advisor and the investor. And we'll only develop our own proprietary investment solutions if we feel we have insights into the advisor relationship because of what we know about them, because of our broader relationship, or we feel like we can do it less expensively. But competition is a good thing, and we don't advantage our solutions one way or another. So in that way, you're right, mix of third party and proprietary. We are, however, not a supermarket. Again, one of the benefits of working with AssetMark is we diligence the investment solutions to make sure that we have any investment area that an advisor needs to serve their client needs. But within each area, we have, say, 2 to 4 options, so that the advisor spends less time kind of curating each investment category and instead starts from a place where we feel like we have the best view.
Yeah, I was going to use the word curated as well. So yeah, you've curated options available for advisors.
That's right.
Excellent.
One thing I will note with that is some advisors don't need or want the curation, and we've just announced an acquisition of Adhesion Wealth. It has not closed yet, but Adhesion is more of a supermarket. And so for those advisors who feel that part of their value proposition for part of client portfolios is to do that curation on their own or to build from a broader set, if and when the Adhesion deal closes, we'll have that option for advisors as well.
So will you be leaving Adhesion Wealth standalone, or are you going to be integrating it into your existing platform?
So a little bit of both. Adhesion will be standalone because they serve a different need than core AssetMark does. Even so, we feel that there's a tremendous amount of power in bringing the AssetMark and Adhesion solutions together. And so for those advisors who want part of their portfolios to be managed by themselves and part of the portfolios to be curated, we'll make sure that that experience is a unified one. But from an operations and from an operating perspective, it will stand alone.
That's always a difficulty, trying to keep the advisor experience seamless, but make sure the back end is unified and giving, keeping the things that work, letting them run independently so they don't lose that magic that they had, then still gaining scale in the back end.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that the best way to do that is to keep your eye on the client. And there's no question that there is a type of client that Adhesion serves that has no need for curation, just like there is a type of client that Voyant, our financial planning system, serves that has absolutely nothing to do with US fee-based financial advisors. They have clients in the UK and Canada and Australia. And so when you're focused on the client, it makes a lot of sense internally and externally to keep these business units separate because their client needs are separate. At the same time, that doesn't mean that in the US, fee-based financial advisors wouldn't benefit from Voyant's financial planning expertise and a robust integrated experience. And the same thing's true of Adhesion. So just focus on the client, and my view is it all works out.
So is that one of the reasons why you acquired Adhesion, because you saw the need for a supermarket?
Yeah, we definitely want to serve RIAs with outsourced solutions that help them improve the quality of service they give to investors, as well as grow and compete. We believe in independent fee-based advice delivered in local communities. We think that's to the advantage of the investors. We also think that more and more advisors are valuing independence, and so we wanted to be able to serve those advisors. And if your goal is to meet advisors where they are and where they're going, which is one of the first pillar actually of AssetMark strategy, then you have to adjust accordingly. And just because we have a history of curated investment solutions and we really believe that saves advisors time and effort, doesn't mean that we can force advisors to come to us. We have to come to them. And this is one way we're going to do that.
I'd like to take a break from this episode to talk about our sponsor, the Invest in Others Foundation. The Invest in Others Foundation is running the Invest in Others Awards, which is a program that recognizes the charitable work of financial advisors in communities across the country and around the world. Awards are presented at their signature event, the annual Invest in Others Awards Gala. Over 600 advisors and financial services executives attend this premier event to celebrate those individuals that actively give back to their communities. I've gone to, I think, the last 3 award galas. They had to cancel it for COVID, and then they canceled it again last year, 2021. It was normally in September, October timeframe, but hopefully we'll have it again this year. So there are 5 categories of awards that recognize the distinct ways that advisors have made a difference through their work with a nonprofit. So the nominations deadline is April 1st. That's less than a month. Just go to investinothers.org and you can click on the click here to nominate link and nominate an advisor. If they win in one of the 5 categories, which are Catalyst Award, Community Service Award, Volunteer of the Year Award, Lifetime Achievement Award, and Emerging Impact Award, they can win, let's say, finalists in all categories receive $25,000 for their charity. The winners in the Catalyst, Community Service, Next Gen, and Volunteer of the Year categories receive $50,000. The advisor who receives the Lifetime Achievement Award receives $75,000. That's a lot of money for a charity, can really help. I've been lucky enough to be on the nominating committee, the awards committee, the judging committee for a bunch of these different awards. It's really hard. These advisors do some great work, both local communities in the US, in South America, in Central America, in Africa, in Asia, across the world, and right here at home. All kinds of great stories, great charities that help people of all ages, shapes, and sizes. You should nominate someone and also donate. Your company will probably match your donation, which provides twice the benefit. Please go to investinothers.org. Thanks.
Vestmark owned Adhesion Wealth. Before they bought them, Adhesion Wealth ran on the Vestmark platform already. So they were a customer of Vestmark, so it made sense to buy them. They don't need to change the back end. Right, so you're buying Adhesion Wealth now running on Vestmark. Do you talk a little about your relationship with Vestmark, and did that have anything to do with that acquisition?
Yeah, so we have a relationship with Vestmark at AssetMark as well, and there's components of what Vestmark offers in terms of their incredible trading and rebalancing engine that we already had planned to integrate into AssetMark. So Vestmark was already on our roadmap. We already have a relationship with them. As it relates to Adhesion, they already, as you said, they've used Vestmark for years. They have a longstanding relationship with Vestmark. And so we believe that in working with Adhesion, it'll only accelerate our move to Vestmark because they have years and years of expertise with a system that we'd already planned on integrating. In addition to that, Adhesion is a service provider, much like AssetMark is. There's a lot of cultural alignment between AssetMark and Adhesion because both firms only exist to help advisors succeed, only exist to help advisors serve clients. So we really believe that not only their experience with Vestmark, but also their cultural overlap with AssetMark is a winning combination.
We have a lot of vendors who listen to our program, and we work with half our clients are firms like AssetMark and TAMPs and broker dealers, or they have our clients are fintech firms. So one thing that we talk to them a lot about is buying decisions and why executives make decisions. Can you talk maybe one or two of the reasons why you saw Vestmark as a better solution than the outsourced provider you have now for trading rebalancing?
Yeah, so a couple things. We have a great relationship with our current outsourced provider. And our plan is not to transition, overnight from one to the other. However, we're an outsourced provider too, and we expect our advisors to be evaluating us all the time and evaluating us based on their needs today, not their needs 4 years ago, 3 years ago. And there were some gaps in the offering of our current provider as it relates to flexibility within accounts, flexibility within trading, in a world that's moving towards more, enterprise-wide trading decisions, whether it be block trading, model management, UMH, UMA, the type of flexibility, account flexibility and trading flexibility that the system has become more and more important. Very big difference between a trading and rebalancing system for individual models and where the industry is going. And so we needed to make sure that we were going in the direction of the industry and in client needs, and in the direction of where our client needs were going. And in order to do that for certain parts of our platform, we needed to re-platform. And that's what we're doing. And clearly, you don't have to do that all at once. In fact, if you do it all at once, chances are you'll shock your client relationships. But even if you have a great relationship with a provider that you've had a lot of great experience with, if they don't have the capabilities you need to move to the future, you need to move on in those parts of your offering. And that's what we're doing at AssetMark. And again, Adhesion and AssetMark, we need to change too. We need to be just as pragmatic, and we need to be just as aggressive about our own platform. And we are. So we hold our providers to the same standards that we hold ourselves to.
That is good to hear. And you made a couple of interesting comments there. So not an overnight transition. That's such a great statement, because some firms we work with think, we'll just turn one off and turn the other one on, and we'll just work. Right. And we've worked with some vendors, we've worked with some broker-dealers converting from your current vendor to AssetMark. And there's nothing against your current vendor, or nothing against AssetMark. It's just a big shift. It's a big lift. It's a huge undertaking because of the size of your business, because of the amount of trading you do every day, and the number of people you have. It's not easy to shift that over to another platform, no matter how good it is or how bad the current one is. It still requires a lot of work, a lot of coordination among stakeholders, a lot of analysis, reviewing your processes. We always say, don't move bad processes to the new system. That's a good opportunity. So you seem like you're in the right mindset for this conversion.
Yeah, and the other thing I just want to say about this is it's tempting. It's tempting to port over your new processes, your old processes to your new systems, because your old processes have years and years of operational experience that go along with them. And so anytime you're transforming or replatforming, you have to have honest conversations about whether or not this process is necessary or familiar. And it's hard. And that's one of the reasons not to do it all at once. I mean, sometimes you have to do things all at once because, I don't know, because the system is aged or it's not scaling, or, big risk areas. But if you are fortunate enough to have the flexibility, and you're fortunate enough that you're ahead of those risk areas, doing things in a thoughtful way can lead to better outcomes for you and for your clients. The other thing I'll say is, even if change is awesome, even if there's nothing but benefits in terms of performance, accuracy, client experience, process, even in those situations, change is extremely hard for users. It means you need to relearn everything. And, if you've been using a system, and we're very fortunate to have 25-year plus relationships with some of our clients. And if you've used a system over the course of 25 plus years, any change is hard. And so, giving your clients the time and the training that you would want to benefit from is extremely important.
Absolutely. One thing we talk about a lot is we divide up user base, whether it's advisors or you've got a number of different stakeholders. Your advisors are a stakeholder, their clients are stakeholders, your internal staff are stakeholders. And we always divide it into thirds. There's always a third of the people that are gung-ho about the change. Yeah, we love it. We can't wait to get this going. There's another third that hate the change. We like the old system. Why are you changing? And then there's a third that are on the fence. And you really need an internal marketing campaign to get those third on the fence over to your side. That way it's 2 against 1. That way you can start chipping away at the naysayers and move them over slowly. But we've found everyone's very good at marketing to their clients, like your advisors, telling them what the change is. But internal marketing to your internal staff, saying, here's why we're doing this. Here's how it's going to help you. Here's what you need to do. It's also important.
Yeah, and your internal team, change is just as hard for them. They're used to being an expert on the platform. They should be experts on the platform that they're selling or supporting. And if you change it, then overnight, they're no more expert than the folks that they're trying to serve. And so taking the time to make sure that you allow them to build their expertise before you transition to clients is incredibly important. The other thing I'll just say is taking the time with your early adopters or your tech savvy clients to build metrics that help you sell externally and internally, so people are actually saying, oh my gosh, I saved 2 hours a day because this is so much faster, or there's so much more flexibility built in the system. I can do things with a couple clicks that used to take me, an afternoon to do, or wow, I've got insights into my clients that help me, win a new piece of business or capture share of wallet. People are much more likely to change if there's hard benefits that you can refer them to, and then other clients that are your, in many ways advocating for the solution that you've just put in place. And that just takes a little time. And then also, having training be as fun and interactive and community building as possible. That also takes time. Putting together venues where people can spend dedicated time with the new system and get used to it is also extremely important. And look, we all make mistakes. There's no perfect transition. Everyone, gosh, I wish it was possible to be perfect every time. But my experience is that if it's an honest mistake or you react quickly and change, clients are very supportive.
It's not whether or not you're going to stumble, because there's always going to be issues, things you didn't know about, unforeseen errors or mistakes. It's how you recover, how you respond to it. That's
Agreed.
People are going to remember.
I agree.
Well, you mentioned, I was going to ask you for advice you have for other CEOs, CXOs who are changing this size platform, but you already gave a couple, right? You talked about building the gathering the hard benefits. So we call those the use cases, building the use cases for the early adopters to show the next group of people, users coming on. Here's how it's going to help you. That's a great recommendation for other firms. So we have a lot of clients we're working with now that are looking at the same kind of transition. And they're always looking for best practices, how they can smooth things out. Do you have any other advice for when you know it's time to change? Like, obviously you had some issues. You've been using your current provider for probably 20 years. How do you know that it's going on too long and, hey, this is not working, we need to change?
Two or three things. One is features that are necessary for you to be competitive in the future aren't part of your provider's roadmap or capabilities. Sometimes because of the way a system was built years and years ago, a particular change is more difficult for that system than it is for other systems. And it doesn't mean that system isn't amazing and awesome. It just means that it was constructed in such a way that an entire replatforming is necessary for the system to meet the client need. And if you believe that those parts of the client experience are extremely important, and I mentioned, flexibility to customize, flexibility to engage with client accounts in a cross-client way. I talked about trading capabilities. If you get to a situation where your provider is inhibiting your ability to serve client needs that you think are fundamental, well, then you need to change the provider you work with entirely, or change the provider you work with for those components of your offering where those changes are necessary. So that's one thing. Second thing is, if you see your provider not investing in the platform, even if you can't see any gaps now, if they haven't invested in the platform for a period of time, then it's not a priority for them. And if it's your system or fundamental to your system, gosh, you need to change. Because that means that over time, you're going to drift away from competitiveness. And over time, you might just see in availability, productivity, performance, big gaps. And then the last thing I'll just say is if the provider's servicing of you changes, so they don't pick up the phone within seconds, or they aren't responsive to your queries, or you find yourself relying on 3 or 4 people within a broader firm, that's an indication that something's up.
Those are all good warning signs that firms should be looking out for. Excellent. Well, Natalie, this time has gone by so quickly. I think we are out of time. Is there anything, can you tell people where they can find more information about AssetMark?
Yeah, so you can find more information about AssetMark at AssetMark, AssetMark.com. And at AssetMark.com, if you're interested in speaking to a salesperson or somebody you can learn more from, there's contact information there, and we'll make sure that someone follows up with you quickly.
It's been fantastic. Now, thanks so much for taking time to speak to me.
Thank you so much. It's really nice spending time with you, Craig.
Hey, it's Craig again. Here are my top 3 takeaways from this episode. Number 1, AssetMark is not a model supermarket. Don't call them that. At least they weren't before the recent acquisition of Adhesion Wealth. They're keeping Adhesion Wealth as a standalone service for those advisors who want a supermarket versus the curated approach that AssetMark normally uses. Number 2, AssetMark is switching back part of their back-end platform over to InvestMark because their current platform wasn't flexible enough to meet the needs of their business as it has grown. Number 3, one warning sign about when you want to change vendors or when you should know you should change vendors is when the vendor stops investing in their tech platform or doesn't invest enough to keep up with the market. That's when you should start looking at alternatives. And as we discussed with Natalie, changing out your portfolio rebalancing and trading platform is a huge undertaking. It requires extensive planning, lots of time and resources for implementation, and a partner like Ezra Group Consulting, my firm, is where you can help avoid making all those mistakes where we've seen your peers make those. So please give us a call, EzraGroupLLC.com. And that's it. You've reached the end of another episode of the Wealth Tech Today podcast. Please go to our website, as I mentioned before, EzraGroupLLC.com. Scroll to the bottom of the homepage and subscribe to our newsletter. Once a month, you'll receive an email chock full of wealth management goodness, news, analysis, links, updates. You will not be disappointed. Thanks a lot for listening, and talk to you all again next time.